who'll return to his club job with Al Ahly in the UAE after this competition is over, is familiar with Korean football, albeit the southern version. He played there with Suwon Blue Wings and won 2 league titles back in the 90s. So away we go in Melbourne. Who's going to be playing for the last 8 and who'll be merely playing for pride come the final group game? So there's a strong start, and we've had a yellow card after less than 15 seconds for Jeongil Gwan. Well, the intent is clear. It was a pretty rudimentary challenge, Andy Harper, from a team that, as we remarked in the build-up, play some pretty rudimentary football.
Well, it was a desperate lunge, and the intensity was on from North Korea for about 10 seconds. And the yellow card came.
It's got to be the quickest yellow of the tournament so far. North Korea trying to stamp their mark, quite literally, in this contest right from the outset. Applying the high press.
Geez, they're right into it, aren't they? They've almost shown more energy in the opening minute of this game than they showed throughout the duration of the game against Pakistan of North Korea.
I look for the tall figure of Park Kwang-ryong, who just took his eye off the ball. You know, he's handy in the air, but Andy, 88 long balls they pumped forward against Uzbekistan, and given that they didn't have a whole lot of possession against the Uzbeks, it's nearly 1 a minute.
Yeah,
their tactics were quite clear.
Watching the North Korean warm-ups instructive, Simon. It took me right back. Indeed, 2 lines of players standing about 40 metres apart, just knocking balls, almost like they're lobbing balls over the DMZ. Demilitarised zone, that is. It was quite bizarre watching. So that would translate into an 88 long ball barrage over the 90 minutes. Shouldn't surprise.
Well, they've just played their first one up towards Park Kwang-ryong, which he was adjudged to have been holding his defender. Now it's the North Koreans who get the decision for the infringement on their captain, Park Song-chol. There's long ball number 2. Coughed up the ball, and it's a replacement for the Koreans today, Sim Hyun-jin, who's playing a bit further forward than we imagined he might do on that left-hand side, who had the efforts.
Well, it's even really too early to tell how the players and the formations are really lining up. It's been pretty frantic to start with. And there was maybe a suspicion that the Saudis might play 3 at the back, push extra players into midfield, but it does look as though they're settling into a back 4.
2 much more attacking-minded fullbacks. We remember Hassan Moath, who played here against Australia 3 years ago, loves to get forward down that right-hand side, and Al-Dosri on the other flank. Try and get a bit more service into the likes of Naif Hazazi. Here come the North Koreans, though, through Ryang Yong-gi. Now Cha Jong-hyuk.
Well, good on them. They've been more enjoyable already than they were against Uzbekistan, and maybe the desperation of needing to secure something out of this game has really provoked them. But we saw a nice penetrating run from Ryong Yong-gi. We didn't see any of that on Saturday.
Now Ri Yong-jik went down as though he was poleaxed there, but no whistle. Lost out to Salam Al-Dosri. Laid off by Al-Salawi. And here is right fullback Hassan Moath. North Koreans, good energy and determination and application in the early stages, but not quite the delivery there towards Jeongil Gwan. It's a blatant body check from Cha Jong-hyuk.
Well, they're right up for it. Closing the Saudis down as quickly as they can. They've overstepped the mark on a few occasions now, including a yellow card after 15 seconds. Worryingly for them, Ri Yong-jik is still hobbling very noticeably. Number 19, I thought he was certainly North Korea's best player against Uzbekistan and mounted an argument for himself as the best on the ground in Thailand.
Just got trodden on there. Whether that just jarred the ankle or whether he's sustained a bit of bruising to the top of the foot. We'll keep an eye on Ri Yong-jik. Here comes the free kick from the Saudis. It's dealt with by the North Koreans and booted away by Cha Jong-hyuk, who conceded the set piece in the first place. So a lively start in Melbourne. Not perhaps the one we anticipated. North Koreans very aggressive. I'm pleased to say people still pouring through the gates. This Asian Cup, Andy, has been really well attended. For a 6 o'clock kickoff on a work night in Melbourne, I think it's a great turn-up. Here's Hassan Moath with the delivery into the penalty area. Jong Il-gwan to clear the lines for the North Koreans. Sim Hyun-jun. All the way back for Jang Song-hyuk. It's a beautiful release. This is Cha Jong-hyuk towards Park Kwang-ryong, who launched himself at it. And there's the chance, a good save from Walid Abdullah. And it was Sim Hyun-jin again. The surprise inclusion, the number 13. And he's had a couple of efforts in the early stages.
Well, he's profiting from the early space that's been afforded him. It was a beautiful switch of play to open up Saudi's left defence. And a really impressive cross to the back stick. Tuck, the number 10, took out one of the defenders on the way through, and Walid Abdullah forced to save low to his right.
Let's see what the corner produces. In towards the near post, it was flicked on by the defender. Who was, in fact, it was Ri Yong-jik who got the initial effort on target. And Saudi Arabia, the heavy favourites for this Group B encounter, have struggled in these opening minutes.
Good save again.
Walid Abdullah just sticking out a big right paw.
Very bright start to the match. There's so much energy about North Korea's approach.
They only had 3 shots on target in the entire 90 minutes against Uzbekistan. They've had 2 already here. I mentioned that long spell without a goal in these Asian Cup finals. The last one 23 years ago, back in 1992. There's some of the supporters still making their way in. Great to see. If there's one thing, Andy, that Australia can be mightily proud of in these early stages of the Asian Cup, it's that the average crowd is over 16,000. We went to some games in Qatar 4 years ago where there were barely 1,600 there.
Yeah. No, it's been really well received, the general interest. The Adopt a Team campaign, a group of contrarians otherwise dressed in Che Guevara t-shirts here today supporting North Korea.
They are the St. Pauli of the international world, aren't they?
That's right.
A team for football subversives everywhere. This is Osama Housawi along the line to Omar Housawi. Neatly done by the central defender. A lovely little layoff as well from Naif Azazi. And here come the Saudis through Abdullah Al-Dosari. And he found the delivery, just let it run away from him for a moment. Back they come again, back with Al-Dosari. And they get the delivery in, chance at the far post, and Naif Azazi only hits the back of the defender, Sim Hyun-jin. Saudis get a corner. There is Naif Azazi, missed that penalty. Rather poor effort against China, match day 1.
Well, this is outstanding defending. John Kwang-ik. He just put his body anywhere he could as close to the ball, and it ended up working for him. The ricochet looped over to the back stick. Hazazi couldn't get to the ball before John Kwangik.
The out-swinging corner is a little too deep for Osama Housawi. Retrieved by Nawaf Al-Abid. It's an awkward one for Reem Yongjik. He's been fouled in the process.
Good strong take, nevertheless. Ball just hanging up in the breeze under the very close attention of Abdullah Al-Dosari. Keeper did well.
Flick on from Park Kwang-ryong, and he'll get it back here. Oh, what an effort from Park Kwang-ryong. They've scored! North Korea have scored through Ryan Yong-gi. Their first goal in 23 years at the Asian Cup finals. What a moment for the Cholima. Park Kwang-ryong with the initial efforts. Too hot to handle for Walid Abdullah. And it's the Japanese-based Ryan Yong-gi with the follow-up. 1-0 to the North Koreans.
Oh, what a brilliant moment for them. And what a brilliant strike by Pak. The winged horse has taken flight here in Melbourne. Yong-gi, so quiet in the first game against Uzbekistan, has been sprightly to begin with and gets a goal as a reward. It's a handy save in the first instance by Walid Abdullah. And scenes of unbridled joy all the way back to Pyongyang, you'd imagine.
Well, the name Ryan Yong-gi will reverberate in North Korean football history. Finally, they've got a goal. And the wait for a win, as we said in the opener, goes all the way back to 1980. That's still a long way off. What a positive start they've made. Surprised everyone.
Well, here they come again. They're picking up the second efforts. The passing's been much better today. Look at that for an expansive bit of play.
The captain, Park Song-chol, with that release. There's that man, Sim Hyun-jin. Named as a defender. But he's caught everyone on the hop as Jo Tong-sop. Playing much further forward, and North Koreans have given the Saudi Arabians a problem they did not think they'd have here.
Well, they've been out enthused at the moment, quite simply.
Well, we know Saudi football is in a bit of a trough at the moment, Andy. Is it in this much of a trough?
Oh, well, it could well be, Simon. And what do the authorities do if they don't win this game? It's not as though they can sack the coach.
Oh, do you reckon? I think they might.
Well, he's got one more game after this anyway. It's a short term.
Well, that won't stop them. They did the same 4 years ago. Jose Pesero went walking after just 2 group games. Anyway, it's a long way off yet. Here's Al-Dosari looking again for Hazazi.
Bielsa's been very heavily linked to the Saudi job. A couple of the Saudi journos are adamant that signing is going to be consummated.
So Olaroyo has told him he doesn't want it permanently. I know he's going back to Al Ahly, but no chance he'll stay then.
No.
Here's Hassan Moath. Straight at the keeper. Long clearance from Reem Yong-guk, again looking for the tall figure of Park Kwang-ryong. Sometimes it can be a little agricultural, but they've shown much more than that in these opening stages. Match day 2. And that Saudi attack snuffed out by Jang Kuk Chol. It's found its way through the clearance from the goalkeeper to Park Song-chol. Now the look for Park Kwang-ryong. The goalkeeper's a bit slow to come out. Eventually he does smother it.
Well, outside, or in addition, I should say, to the intensity that North Korea have put on, actually the instinctive switching of play, immediate switching of play has been a real feature.
Down the line by Al-Faraj. Al-Dosri was a dangerous ball whipped in. And well dealt with by Jang Song-hyuk at the expense of a Saudi Arabian corner. Just in that corridor of uncertainty for the goalkeeper. He was grateful to his defender, Jang. Corner taken shorts. They'll get another go, the Saudis. Al-Faraj's cross blocked. Latecomers still arriving. Nawaf Alabed with the corner. Now Hassan Moath will have a blast. Little break for Omar Hassawi. On the turn was Al Salawi. Back with Osama Hassawi, and there's Hazazi. Just the wrong side of the post.
Well, I was almost convinced that was going in. We're right behind it. And it looked like it was heading inside the post. It's a nice header from Hazazi. Through traffic, headed it down and across and just wide. A good bit of pressure from the Saudis. Sustained, couple of shots blocked. The ball fell to the crossing situation. It had a delightful weight on it for Hazazi, whose header was a good one. Interestingly and importantly, Ri Yong-jik was out of that defensive situation. He was huddled up just outside the box with another little injury. He's been in the wars, the main man for North Korea.
It's well scrapped for by Park Kwang-ryong. Here's a tough customer to get off the ball. Such an imposing figure. This is Jong Kwang-ik. Got by Salam Al-Dosri, but given straight back to the North Koreans. Little stab forward by Ri Yong-jik towards Park Kwang-ryong. Now the Saudis can break. This is Nawaf Alabed. Hazazi can't control it. Park Song-chol has to be quick. Booted forwards by Jang Song-hyuk. Well, this game has been a pleasant surprise, Andy.
Fantastic. Really exciting opening. Plenty of energy, and you've got to thank North Korea for setting the tone. If they'd come out just to defend deep and sit back and hope, well, the Saudis would have taken their time, but they don't have that luxury now, Saudi Arabia. And that which we're enjoying now, we can put wholly and solely down to North Korea. Good on them.
Last North Korean to score a goal at the Asian Cup finals was Kim Gwang-min against the UAE back in November 1992. The man giving chase there is the man who's just ended that particular record. Yang Yong-gi, who plays in Japan for Vegalta Sendai. There he is.
Well, they're obviously rare things at this level of football. Goals, that is, for North Korea, but the scorer, Yang Yong-gi, we shouldn't be that surprised. We talked about in game one. He's in the J-League. He's, as a midfielder, scored 18 goals in about 110-odd J-League games. It's a good return for a midfielder.
It's one of those Zainichi Koreans, born in Osaka in Japan, to North Korean parents. Played his entire career in the J-League. What a moment for him. Oh, what about that? The Rabona, if you don't mind. And now Alabed. Yang Yong-gi. Here's his big moments. Park Kwang-ryong with the shots.
He followed it up beautifully. Great anticipation. That's a hell of a hit too from Park Kwang-ryong.
Great scenes. 23 years in the making. Laid off by Al-Salawi. Hazazi. Osman Olaroyo, I can tell he's just thrown his hands up in the air in despair. That cheap concession of the ball. Had to be got rid of. Saud Kariri, the captain of the Green Falcons. Here's Hassan Moath. Inside him is Salman Al-Faraj. Mohamed Al-Salawi. Nawaf Al-Abid.
And finally, the Saudis have been able to settle on the ball. It's only taken 21 minutes. They can set their stall and maybe see if they can prise open this North Korean defence. Test for North Korea, and if the Saudis have the patience for it, is to see if North Korea can last the distance. You'd almost think it impossible to play at this intensity for the entire match.
Al-Salawi riding long challenge. The exchange of passes between he and Salam Al-Dosri broke down on the edge of the North Korean box. Well, if there's one thing that we know the North Koreans are experienced at, Andy, it's defending. Now they have got something to defend. Park Kwang-ryong. Well, a clumsy foul from Al-Faraj.
Well, despite so obviously being heavily outplayed by Uzbekistan in game one, only lost that game by the single goal, and they had the last say in that. Great save by Nestorov to deny Park with the last touch of the match. That would have been a draw from nothing because they were completely outplayed. But maybe with the comfort of a draw, they wouldn't have brought the same energy to the opening exchanges here.
Well, the interesting thing is that Joe Tong-sop, in a press conference this week, did say that he thought the quarterfinals were still very much within reach. Not quite sure how many people believed him, but at the moment it's more than a distinct possibility. Maybe that's why he's selected Ri Sang-chol. Have you ever heard of a guy being chosen for a major tournament when he's suspended for all 3 group games before? Here's Jong Il-kwan. Well, it might break here for Park Kwang-ryong. Acrobatically away by Osama Housawi. And here's Sim Hyun-jin again. Now with Park Song-chol. They'll work it back through Jong Kwang-ik. In the air it goes towards Park Kwang-ryong, who was holding his marker. Free kick for Saudi Arabia.
What about that defending by Osama Housawi? Puck was through. And he just left the ground. Incredible athleticism. There's the foul. Reason for the last decision by the referee. But that was a dangerous moment for the Saudis, who they'd want to wake up to themselves. They're such a regional powerhouse up until the last couple of World Cup cycles, where, to be frank, Simon, they've by and large been a rabble. And they shouldn't be in this situation with their pedigree, the investment in their football, the talent of the individuals. They should be able to exert some sort of presence in this match. But they've just been completely bustled, off the ball, out-thought, out-enthused. And the tactics from North Korea, as opposed to the other night where it was just lump the ball forward and hope, they're going forward early into space, over the top of the Saudi defence, and particularly immediate switches of play, and the Saudis just have not coped at all.
Here's the most damning indictment, Andy, of the Saudi campaign so far. They've had just 1 shot on target, and that was that Naif Hazazi penalty that was rather weakly taken and easily saved by the Chinese goalkeeper, with a bit of help from an Australian ball boy. They They're in a terrible, terrible hole, Saudi Arabia. Said that they'd lost 5 straight games at the Asian Cup finals. They are currently on a run of 4 straight losses as well at international level. Lost to China, 2-0 to South Korea in a friendly, 4-1 to Bahrain in a friendly, and 2-1 to Qatar in the Gulf Cup final on home soil, which saw the end of Juan Ramon Lopez Caro, the Spanish coach. Kwang Ryong, again, just almost unbeatable in the air. That's good tracking back from Sim Hyun Jin. He's been really impressive.
Just too quick. No time at all for Saudis to dwell on the ball. And they're not earning that right. There's no particular buzz in their movement, no urgency. Not enough at least. Just last-minute desperation. Look at that. Into space, immediately in behind and turning the Saudi defenders around.
Pity about the little ankle tap from Jong Il-Guan.
Yeah, just needed to
He's got to be
clear.
careful, actually, on a yellow, of course, after less than 15 seconds.
We just got to... That's one of those...
I think it was accidental, in fairness.
Jeez, he took a while to go down, didn't he?
Went down in installments, yeah.
Like the rest of his teammates, it seems like it's taking an hour from the message to get from the head to the legs. And again, look at that, right into the soft spot. They don't fancy it. They're right into it.
And here's Park Kwang Ryong trying to get the wrong side of Osama Housawi, who just about does enough. A real shock story perhaps developing here. Still an awful long way to go, of course. But they're really taking it to the Saudis, North Korea.
They're just not coping with Park in particular. They're not coping with the early service forward. They're not coping with being turned around. And to supplement that approach, North Korea are getting players forward today. They didn't against Uzbekistan. Park was isolated, horribly so. This has just been a fabulous turnaround by North Korea. A refreshing approach. Great to watch, and there is a really good gallery here in Melbourne to enjoy it.
Al-Dosri gets it back off his namesake, Salem Al-Dosri. It's Abdullah Al-Dosri who charges the resultant clearance down. Well, Joe Tong-sop, coaching genius at the moment.
Certainly got one over Cosman Oloreo.
Romanian, I can tell he's just clapped his hands in frustration again. I think you might have picked that up on our effects microphone. He can't believe what he's watching here, and here's danger again. Park Kwang Ryong. Well, he's just an old-style centre forward, isn't he?
Well, he has to be at the moment.
Lump it in the air, and I'll get there.
Look at the commitment. Eyes never left the ball. Not interested how many or how big were those in front of him. I'm going for the ball on behalf of dear leader.
Touch of the Nile. Quinn's about him, maybe. Neat little layoff there as well, because Quinn could play a bit on the deck.
You're not going to label him Asia's Nile winner.
North Korea's
Nile Queen of Asia. I'd cop Jan Kohler of Asia. Or the Mark Haitley. Anyway.
All of the above. Peter Crouch, another one.
Let's see if he can do the crouch dance if he gets a goal.
Yeah, here's a chance, but Hassan Moath just delayed a fraction too long. Set up a goal from a similar position on that part of the pitch for Nasser Al-Shamrani, I seem to remember, in that World Cup qualifier against Australia. Al-Shamrani, of course, a big absentee from these finals for the Green Falcons. Missed the entire competition through injury. Not that it looks as though it's going to last too long, the way things are going. That didn't quite come off for Park Kwang-ryong. Salam Al-Dosri. Good defending from Jang Kuk-chol. Here's Sim Hyun-jin. Oh, nice little knockback through the legs of the goal scorer, Yang Yong-gi, by Nawaf Al-Abid. And on the left is Mohamed Al-Salawi. It's a corner.
Concentration just breaking down with Al-Salawi. And the lead-up was archetypal Saudi play. Beautiful little nutmeg to open things up by Nawaf. Good exchange thereafter. Right upfield, and Salawi couldn't do something magical in the box.
Al-Abid goes deep this time. It's knocked back across towards Mohamed Al-Salawi, who went for the bicycle kick. Didn't really get the purchase he wanted. He is a talented and regular goal scorer for his club side Al Nassr. He's only just at the outset of his international career, scored 4 times in 8 games for the Saudis. Didn't quite get that one right.
He's a bit further away than not quite. And he had Azizi right next to him.
Well, just on Al-Salawi, we'll come back to that. It's good defending from Omar Hawsawi. Broken up in midfield by Al-Abid. Look at the determination again, this time by Cha Jong-kyok. North Koreans have really got the bit between their teeth. Salam Al-Dosri trying to get away from Cha, who fouls him. There's a bit of a wrestling match as well. And just on Al-Salawi, so I wonder whether you think this is a microcosm of some of the problems in Saudi football. Here he is on the ball. Salam Al-Dosri. Nobody there for the Saudis. He cost Al Nassr 32 million riyals in a domestic transfer, about $8 million, breaking the domestic record at the time. And 2.5 million US of that went to the player. They are filthy rich by Asian standards. But do they have the hunger? And do they have the desire to take their careers on further? Because very few of them go overseas and learn different styles of football. More cutthroat environment, perhaps. They're more than content to stay at home.
Of course, though. And it's not just the Saudis. It's typical of players in a very comfortable life at home. No need to move. No motivation to move. Big clubs come knocking and offering opportunities and frequently denied because the players aren't interested. They earn way more money for club than they do for country, which is not atypical of world football, but there are serious questions over the appetite to play for the national team, particularly in Saudi, particularly when you consider the ownership structure of the clubs. One royal cousin not wanting to help out another royal cousin by releasing players, etc. It's a push in the back. You can get up too, can't he?
First North Korean to play in the European Champions League, which he did for his parent club, FC Basel of Switzerland. He's on loan at the moment with Vaduz in Liechtenstein. They play in the Swiss Challenge League, of course. There is Park Kwang-ryong again. He's put that almost into rosette.
Well, he's had a very good half so far, and he just needed a bit more composure then, because looming on his outside was the goal scorer. This sat up beautifully. If he was by himself, you might have understood. The lack of communication, or just maybe a little bit tired after the early exertions, and that chance didn't get maximised.
Flags up, ball's gone out. Salawi disagreeing. And interestingly, a lot of the pre-tournament conversation was the whole of the ball out.
No, that should have been play on.
Questionable.
He's right.
Some of the pre-tournament conversation with the North Koreans, Andy, was about the omission of Jong Tae-si, the People's Rooney, if we're going to get into nicknames again. And maybe with Park Kwang-ryong, North Koreans felt they didn't really need Jong Tae-si.
Well, they've come 2 players short. He surely could have got into a score.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, they're doing well today. Very, very well. Making a mockery of the Saudis' bigger reputation.
This is Hassan Moath. Off the shins of Jong Kwang-ik. Onto the scoreline. Riang Yong-gi's early goals separating the 2 teams. Saudi Arabia, 1 chance aside for Naif Hazazi that just went the wrong side of the post, have created rather too little for their supporters' liking.
Well, there's no rhythm to their game at all. There's no structure to their possession. They've been playing in transition, really, because North Korea have just been bossing them around the place. So the Saudis are playing off scraps. They still look like they have some potential from that situation, but they should be, look at this, they should be setting themselves a platform. Fast transition again, forward early.
Oh, no, Cha. Jong Hyok has been caught out of position. Could this create an opening perhaps for the Saudis? Now Falabid lays it off. Naif Hazazi, the equaliser for the Saudis. And the man who missed a penalty in Brisbane against China makes amends with a tidy score, 1-1.
Well, to the script so far, it was a turnover by North Korea on halfway, and the transition was slick. The passing finally was good. The finish was lethal. Naif Hazazi couldn't secure it from the spot, but he can secure it through the legs of Ri Myong-guk to level the scores. Beautiful tee-up by Alabib. And they haven't really looked likely, the Saudis, but they're back level.
Well, he is the golden boy of Saudi football in succession to Yasser Al-Khattani. And you can almost feel a huge sigh of relief from the Saudi fans in the crowds. They'd been poor, disappointing hugely up until that moment. Just a little crack appeared in the North Korean rearguard as Cha Jong-hyok was given a hospital pass, really, by one of his teammates. And the Saudis made good. Now, will that settle their nerves? Because they looked bereft of ideas up until that moment.
They were completely. North Korea totally off balance on the near touchline. The pass in behind Cha, who was bombing forward. And whilst off balance, the Saudis swooped. And that was a great striker's finish from Hazazi. It's awoken the Saudi fans who are here in Melbourne. We've got 10,000, I'm told, Saudi students in Australia. No short of that many here today, of course, but they've found their voice. Finally, their team's given them something to shout about.
Maybe a bit more here. Teed up again by Alabid. Now with Hassan Moat. Now off Alabid. It's way beyond Hazazi.
He's a beautiful player.
Well, they've woken up.
Well, they're so mercurial. Sometimes one would be tempted to call them fair weather players. And when things are good, they're really hard to stop. Constant criticism is them needing to wait for a game to change rather than them being able to change it themselves. And that opportunity opened up for them in counter-attack. They were certainly good enough to finish the chance. And from this point on, until North Korea can change the course again, the Saudis will sail. Leading the charge, I'm going to anticipate, will be Nawaf Al-Abid, the number 20, the left footer. Playing out on the right. Very, very tricky customer. Two deadly strikers.
Now the bounce has made it awkward for the North Korean defender, Jangkook Chol. Nobody in support of Naif Azazi. Just to correct what I said earlier about Park Kwang-ryong playing in the Swiss Challenge League. That was the case last season, but actually got promoted, so he's playing in the top flight in Switzerland this season, where he's yet to score in 12 games. Got 9 in 18 in the second tier last year.
And what do we get now? So we're game 11 of the 2015 Asian Cup. We haven't had a team draw level yet, have we? Australia did to Q8, then overran them. And Qatar and UAE. So then my memory's rusty already. UAE overran Qatar.
We've had a few games, Hubs. Gee, how long ago does Australia Q8 seem?
Well, even longer after a superb performance from Australia last night.
Well, this one's been great fun for the neutral.
Fabulous. And there's good noise around the stadium too. People are really appreciating what's been put on show, and again, the Saudis, to their credit, have responded, but the tone has been set, make no mistake, by North Korea. The question over them is, physically, how long do they last, or do the Saudis just start to pick them apart?
Well, here they come again. This is Naif Azazi trying to thread the needle for Al Salawi. Park Song-chol attempted to make it stick on halfway. Saudis starting to win a bit of ball. Held up by Saud Kariri. This is Abdullah Al-Dosari to Salam Al-Dosari. Look at the confidence in the team in green now. Al-Dosari with the little chip. Neatly taken down. Alabed, what a save from Reem Yong-guk. That's one of the saves of the tournament. And now Alabed again showing his class and quality.
Well, this is one of the efforts of the tournament. Turn on the chest, volley with back to goal. Superb. Superb. And they're really hard to stop when they feel like playing. Reem Yong-guk did the business with an excellent save. Great football.
The corner from Hassan Moaz. Everybody back for the North Koreans. Saudis started to play. Now Alabed again. Goes low this time. Not quite as good as his earlier effort, but he's a handy talent, isn't he? Plays for Al Hilal and was actually offered the number 10 jersey at that club from the player who in Saudi terms is a bit of a legend, Mohammed Al Shalhoub, but he refused. Prefers to wear number 20, and here's his earlier effort. Beautifully taken down on the chest, and a super stop.
Great football. Really good football, and North Korea have awoken the giant, because they really stirred them up with a boisterous opening half hour and a goal as their reward. And they stumbled and bumbled, the Saudis, but they ticked off North Korea on a counter-attack, and the game has taken on a completely different complexion as a result.
Al-Faraj. Al-Dosari. The Green Falcons campaign was hanging by a thread. They found reserves of energy, and most importantly, a bit of their undoubted quality. They are so hot and cold, though, aren't they? Kwang-ryong. Here's Sim Hyun-jin. There's a bit of room here for Jong Il-gwan. Chara's pushed forward from right full-back. Here he is. One of their Swiss-based contingent with FC Will. Al-Salawi almost getting the better of Jang Song-hyuk.
We see how much they've lost their composure, North Korea. Perhaps finding the going physically a bit difficult, but they've lost the momentum as well. They've been rattled by this last period of play by the Saudis. And whereas over the opening half hour, Every time they got the ball, they were looking to go forward into space or to the body of pack or into the feet of an oncoming support player. They're now tending to turn backwards again, which was the story of their game against Uzbekistan. And I don't think it served them. Much better when they look to take the initiative.
Into stoppage time we go, of which there will just be 60 seconds. What a terrific first half we've had for this excellent gallery to enjoy. Again, I think we're well into 5 figures.
And again, look how long it's taken Puck to decide we're going to go forward. He had 4 players forward in support. Now
that ball though, Sim Hyun Jin again goes for goal. This time blocked by Hassan Moaf. And the tricky Noah for Alabid to try and set up an attack for the Saudis. Al Salawi's not going to get to that. Well, the important half-time team talk coming up for Joe Tong Sop. He's not on the phone there, is he?
Might have raced to at Flemington going.
I think it might be a stopwatch. Well, there we go. What a first half that was. Yang Yong-gi scoring North Korea's first goal at the Asian Cup finals in 23 years. The Cholima were hugely impressive. Up until the moment, Naif Hazazi got the equaliser after a North Korean error. And after that, it was all Saudi Arabia.
Under pressure. And can Saudi maintain the levels of motivation that they showed at the back end of the first half?
All will be revealed over the next 45 minutes. There's the scoreline as it stands. North Korea 1, Saudi Arabia 1. Saudis finishing the first half very strongly, and they're on the ball here through Salman Al-Faraj. And then the goal scorer Hazazi runs into a brick wall, otherwise known as Jang Kuk-chol. That's loose. This is the dangerous Noah Alabid. Salam Al-Dosri. It came off the boot of Jang Kuk-chol. Not exactly where he wanted it to go. Lee Myung-guk able to gather the ball. They showed qualities in that opening 45 minutes. We didn't really know that the North Koreans had. That's perhaps reverting to type a little bit.
Yeah, well, they played some good stuff in the first half, which we didn't see at all in game 1 against Uzbekistan. But I fear that they've tired beyond the point of being able to get back to that style of football, because they put in such an enormous effort in the opening 30-odd minutes.
Alabid.
So look how they're standing off now. At the start of the match and for the opening period, they were doing just this, pinching the ball, pressurising to win the ball.
Park Kwang-ryong with a strong run, and he squares it up. It was behind the runners. Notably Park Song-chol, the captain. That's a foul, surely. The referee's allowed it to run on, and North Korea might be grateful for that. Not a bad ball in, and there were 2 waiting for the cross. Jong Gil-guan and Park Kwang-ryong. A good start to the second half by the North Koreans.
Good scrambling defence from the Saudis. But what a burst that was by the big guy, Park Kwang-ryong. Put the Saudis on notice. Sparked North Korea back into life. And a poor pass there from John Kwang-ik to take the pressure off completely. The game is just poised magnificently. And it's the answer to those 2 questions will determine the outcome of the match. If the Saudis stay alert, motivated, hungry, they'll win the game. Look at that.
Lovely control. Neat spin as well. He's a good player, isn't he? Now Alabid.
So these are the markers. When you're watching Saudi football, these are the markers. Because even if they don't have the appetite necessarily physically to chase and tackle, you can tell their focus by the touch and the passing. And some have got it at the start of this second half, and some don't.
Park Kwang-ryong trying to lead by example, pressurising and forcing the turnover. Big boot put through the ball from Osama Hausawi. And giving chase is Naif Hazazi. Snicked away from him by Jangkup Chol. Park Kwang-ryong was coming from an offside position. It might squirt through all the way for Sim Hyun-jin, who is then guilty of a little nudge in the back of Hassan Moath.
Well, he was lively in the opening exchanges, Sim. Didn't start the first game, started today. Looked to be a master stroker. I don't know there was much in that, to be honest. If anything. Hopefully, of course, the game wasn't changed by any referee intervention there.
In the air by Alabits. Belted forward by Jang Song-hyuk. This is Salam Al-Dosri to Abdullah Al-Dosri. Saud Kariri. Al-Faraj. Saud Kariri again, the veteran of the Saudi lineup.
And the best player in the team. Doesn't have the sparkle of some of the strikers and attacking midfielders, but he is their most reliable, best player.
Azazi. Inside by Hassan Moath. Nawaf Alabid towards Al-Salawi. Hassan Moath around the outside. Danger for the North Koreans. Al-Salawi just hits the roof of the goal. A good overlapping run on the right-hand side from Hassan Moath, which we know he's more than capable of. Decent delivery too.
He rose nicely, made good contact, might have done better. It went close. It's a beautiful burst of speed by Muat. And he was under very close attention. And he did well to make good contact. And once all that good work has been done, he'll be disappointed he didn't control the header a little better.
Jo Tong-sop reorganising again. Game very much in the balance, as are the hopes of these two nations at the 16th Asian Cup. Good layoff by Park Kwang-ryong. This is Riang Yong-gi. It gets away from Salman Al-Faraj, so too Park Song-chol. Alabid. All very tight in there. Lee Yong-jik trying to tidy up for his team and then slips on the turf. Al-Salawi. Laid off by Salam Al-Dosri, can hit them from outside the box. Al-Dosri again, Naif Hazazi. Drilled across the face and Al-Salawi scores! And Saudi Arabia lead for the first time in the game. Mohammed Al-Salawi with a poacher's goal. 2-1.
Well, twice North Korea have been hit cruelly on turnovers. The first one was their poor play. The second, on this occasion for the goal, the slip by Ri Yong-jik turned possession over. And they worked it trickily right through the heart of the field and then to the overlapping fullback. And it's just opportunism from there. Well positioned as he was, Mohammed Al-Salawi. Beautifully found. Hazazi feeding the overlap. And the cross was fired in. North Korea could only deflect it onto the waiting foot of Mohammed Al-Salawi, who can hardly miss from there.
Will make that 5 goals in 9 internationals for Mohammed Al-Salawi, justifying his inclusion alongside Naif Hazazi. Osman Olaroya going with a much more attacking looking lineup, and after that early scare, which they fell behind, now they're in front. Who needs Nasser Al-Shamrani? Now 2 strikers have scored.
Well, he's been very busy, Mohammed Al-Salawi. And even when the team was flipping and flopping their way through the first half hour of the game, he was looking like he was trying to ignite his teammates. So the goal is a good reward. North Korea well back on their heels. And another turnover. They're looking ragged.
Azazi. That's inadvertently struck Al-Faraj. It's been pinched by Sim Hyun-jin. Now Ri Yong-jik, who slipped, led to that opening in the first place. Oh, there's confusion. There's going to be a third. Mohamed Al-Salawi has a brace. Disaster for North Korea. They got it totally wrong, and Al-Salawi had a tap-in. 3-1, and that might be enough for the Saudis.
Ri Yong-jik looking to keep things cool and composed. Drew to was an innocuous situation, and it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. From Jang Song-hyuk, it's just horrible.
Came off the arm, didn't it, for Al-Salawi? You saw the appeal there in the background from Jang Kuk-chol. I'm not sure it could have been deemed intentional.
I have 100% comfort that that goal needs to stand. His arm was next to his body. He didn't have time to move anyway. And he's got 2.
And the Saudis have 3. And the outlook for the Green Falcons looking a whole lot brighter than it did up until the 36th minute. And this, I suppose, is the inexperience of the North Koreans playing at this level. They're going to make a change, as you can see. Oh Hyuk-chol, who came off the bench in the first game as well, is going to replace the skipper, Park Song-chol. So one Chol for another.
Well, the Chalema have had their wings clipped, and I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to withstand the Saudis from here. You know, they were looking tired towards the end of that first half. It was such an enormous effort, the start to the game for them, and they got their reward, but errors through tiredness as much as anything have let them down, and they'll have to find a way of sandbagging against the green tide that's going to come their way.
That's neatly done, though, by Jong-il Kwan. They've got anything left in the tank, the North Koreans. Given away by Park Kwang-ryong. Followed by Hassan Moath. Saud Kariri. Omar Hassawi. Now for Abdullah Al-Dosari. Azazi, the space is appearing. Nobody struck the run. And they got a rather lucky deflection off Jang Kuk-chol back towards their goalkeeper, but the tiredness. Cha Jong-hyuk on that right-hand side was left for dead there, Andy.
Tremendous momentum with the Green Falcons.
There's the man of the moment, Mohamed Al-Salawi. Well, it was off the arm, but again, I'm with you, Andy.
It's got to be intentional.
Yeah.
He hasn't reached out to touch it. He's had no chance to get away from it. And it's a fair goal.
Speculator from Jong-il Kwan.
Again, that's another side of mental and physical tiredness.
Another change about to be made. Roh Hak-soo. It's going to come on for the North Koreans. Here's a defender by trade, plays for the Rim Yong-soo club. Got to the final of the AFC President's Cup, the club tournament for emerging nations, where they were beaten by Ashgabat of Turkmenistan. North Koreans have had a very good year at all levels of the game, but just inexperienced at senior level, and they could be exposed again here. Hassan Moath. Pushing forward from right fullback. Nawaf Al-Abid. Stolen by Liang Yonggi, but it will be a throw-in for the Saudis. Well, Su waiting his turn. Punch long towards tall figure of Park Kwang-ryong. Solid challenge from South Korea, but it squirts out towards Sim Hyun-jin on the right. It's blocked by Abdullah Al-Dosari. Here come the North Koreans again. The exchange of passes didn't quite come off, and Cha Jong-hyuk is again now well out of position. Saudi bench telling their players to slow things down. Just take your time. Comfortable advantage, no need to press too hard. Salam Al-Dosari will turn clear of Oh Hyuk-chol. Abdullah Al-Dosari has been left prone on the turf. North Koreans trying to launch a counter. Here's the change for the North Koreans. Well, it is going to be Cha Jong-hyuk, who's certainly running on empty in terms of petrol in the tank, who's going to be replaced.
Well, he's going to be spoken to by the ref first. He and Salman Al-Faraj had a bit of a set-to just a couple of moments ago.
So Cha takes his leave. Roh Hak-soo, his replacement. That's the new man. Scored a couple of goals at the 2008 AFC Challenge Cup against Myanmar. Tournament staged in India. A tournament that will be no more due to the decision to expand the AFC Asian Cup from 2019. Tournament, incidentally, the Saudis are hoping to host one of the bids. That's a crude challenge again. And the referee is going to speak to Ri Yong-jik. He's escaped a yellow card, which he'll be grateful for, because he picked up a yellow in the first game against Uzbekistan. Another one would have ruled him out of the final group game against the Chinese, which I suppose, from North Korea's point of view, counts as a bit of a derby.
Yeah.
Quite as much as the one against South Korea, of course.
Yeah.
Now, long they go towards Park Kwang-ryong, but he can't reel it in. It's virtually their only route forward at the moment.
There's just not the zing in it, is there? It looked a good plan early, not to go direct all the time, but the way they sprayed the ball around and the speed with which they supported the attack, nowhere near the same zing. We're not out of it yet, North Korea, but hopes are fading. The Saudis have pretty much got control of the game. 2 goals clear on the scoreboard, and the way the game is unfolding, it's certainly theirs to lose, and quite frankly, you can't see it.
If they are to depart early, at least they've scored a goal this time, which they failed to do in Qatar 4 years back. Great moment that was for Cholima in the first half. They've gone long again, and they might get some joy here. Beautifully taken down by Jong Kwang-ik. They wait for Park Kwang-ryong to arrive. Now the runners join in. Park Kwang-ryong again tries to stab it through, but teammate Jong Il-gwen not quite on the same wavelength. He's their best hope.
Well, there's a lot of excitement and not a lot of composure. But it was a beautiful touch to set up the attack. Once the ball had been switched, like sticky tape on the boot of Jong Kwang-ik, They were just overexcited from that point on. Needed a little bit of calmness.
Rohaksu, fresh off the bench. Ilguan making it stick. And they find a second wind. Bit of fresh energy from somewhere, the North Koreans. Punched towards that far touchline by Jang Song-hyuk. All a bit aimless.
That was a very, very important tackle. Oh Hyuk-chol playing over on the right-hand side.
He's come off the bench and taken over the captain's armband. Was that just because he was nearest to it? Interesting. All we know of him is that it's his 6th cap. He plays for the April the 25th club, the club of the People's Army of North Korea. Long ball forwards. It's going to run away from Naif Hazazi. Jik's been penalised, only presumed for a foul throw.
No.
Or is the linesman giving it the other way?
The officials gave the throw the other way. That's good pressure from Saudi, which is what North Korea were doing to them at the opening of the first half. And that pendulum has swung completely.
Trip by Hazazi. There's the scoreline with just under 25 minutes of regulation time remaining. Long ball forward again. Just a matter of getting up towards Park Kwang-ryong and hope he gets a flick on.
No, they've lost their method. For the moment, Saudi haven't gone on with it. They got those 2 goals in a couple of minutes, which has settled them down.
Looking for the return of Ilguan. There's not much doing for the North Koreans at the moment, who are investing hugely in their football programs. They've set up an international football school, I understand, in Pyongyang, and utilising the knowledge of some Spanish coaches. This is Jong Il-guan. We're even told that Kim Jong-un is a Manchester United fan. He would be, wouldn't he?
That makes you a South Korea fan.
Likes a bit of basketball, of course, as well. Here's Naif Al-Abid. Danger here for the North Koreans. Naif Hazazi. Just the wrong side of the post. He's enjoying himself. Penalty miss in Brisbane, consigned to the history books. He was just slightly off balance, knew that the defender was coming towards him.
Had the option as well. Hassan decided not to reward that run. Interestingly, the fullbacks for Saudi have changed. From the ball now. Played left full-back in the first half.
Here is Hassan Moath. He and Park Kwang-ryong trying to out-trick each other. And they've given the ball away. Here's a chance. John Gil was straining every sinew to try and get to that ball. And he couldn't quite make it.
Beautiful little ball. In the end, just that half yard. Oh, wow. Wouldn't that have set up the last part of the game? It's a surging run through midfield. John Hill won, and it was a desperate lunge.
Space here for Hassan Moas. Game stretched. 3 arriving. One is Al-Salawi on a hat-trick. Naif Hazazi is there. Al-Abid, can they create the angle? Blazed over from Salem Al-Dosari. Not a chance to kill the game off once and for all.
They would have finished it. No way back from there at 4-1. But at 3-1, as we just saw with that last run by Johnny Il-Guan. And a good scramble. North Korean defenders throwing themselves in the end. It was wasteful from Salem Al-Dosari, who's been pretty quiet in this game. Looking forward to watching him play coming into the fixture. He hasn't really figured a lot in what Saudi have done to turn this game around. That would have been a nice little injection for him.
Loved your Scottish accent there, by the way, Harps. Al-Dosari. He's one of those with Al Hilal, of course, played against the Wanderers in the Champions League final.
Didn't you know he was a Klansman from way back?
Surely he should be Muck-Dosari then.
Has been seen wearing his kilt in Riyadh.
Interestingly, it's a bit chilly, maybe kilt weather in Saudi at the moment. I was told that 1,000 kilometres away from Riyadh, they've had snow this week. Can you credit that in Saudi Arabia? I don't think they have ski fields, and at least not outdoor ones anyway. Sama Housawi. Too strong for Hazazi, but it breaks kindly. Al-Salawi's on a hat-trick here. It's opened up for him. And he's put it wide. And they can't believe it, and neither can he. A gilt-edged opportunity to get the first hat-trick of this Asian Cup. And he spurned it.
Well, the turn on halfway was delectable. And the finish was scuffed. He hashed it up horribly. Should have been a hat-trick. Made the chance for himself quite beautifully. And still North Korea are alive. They should have been put to the sword by now. Two great chances to have gone clear.
Al-Abid was racing clear before he was unceremoniously grounded by Sin Hyun Jin. He's going to get a yellow card, rightly so. Now Al-Abid has perhaps been the outstanding player on show this evening. Al-Salawi and Hazazi will get the headlines, of course, for the goals, but he's been terrific.
Well, he's the man who turned it around for them. He always looked the most likely, even when they were doing a very good impersonation of a flaccid flag.
Ryang Yonggi, there's a chance there to get
that pass was
Park
so
Kwang Ryong in behind.
That was so makeable, that pass. And that's where the evidence of the tiredness.
How about this, Andy? Confirmation of the crowd is just over 12,000 here. That's unbelievable. 6 o'clock on a weekday. Well done, the public of Melbourne.
Yeah, well, that's two crowds of 12,000 to watch North Korea.
Unbelievable.
And it's been a triumph so far, the Asian Cup. Thoroughly enjoyable.
12,349, the official figure. I'll tell you what, we don't get everything right with regards to Asian football in Australia, but I hope the rest of the continent is watching these crowds when it comes to Asian Cup finals games. They have been outstanding.
Well, there's a big target for the local organising committee to have the biggest combined crowd figure for the tournament on record, and I think they're on track. And wouldn't that be a great thing for Australia's CV?
Alabid, great turn again. Oh, he's unplayable.
Well, that's
there's the commentator's curse.
Undone by a poor pass, but again, just too tired to make anything of it. North Korea.
Al-Salawi bursting through. Oh, he's offside. It's not going to count, even if it goes in from Hazazi.
Beautiful anticipation from Hazazi, who is so
a mile on.
Who's so onside, it's ridiculous. Did you put that down as a save anyway? I mean, he didn't know. He knew he was onside because he was. He wouldn't have seen or anticipated the assistant's flag to have gone up.
Well, Al-Salawi should have had a hat-trick, but he has delivered 2 goals. And it's going to be replaced for the final few minutes by Taisir Al-Jassim.
Well, called up to the team in a game they needed to win against a dangerous opponent. And he did the business. Should have had 3.
Taisir Al-Jassim, Australian fans might remember, scored a late goal against the Socceroos in that friendly in London last September, which gave Ange Postecoglou's team a rather nervy finale. They did hold on to win that game 3-2. He's going to go and play perhaps just in behind Naif Hazazi. Final 15 minutes. Here's Salam Al-Dosri inside the penalty area, going this way and that. Can he finish? Oh, delightful. Is it over the line? Linesman says, what does he say? Nobody knows. Penalty. For handball, was it, against Ri Yong-jik? Salam Al-Dosri led them a merry dance along that touchline.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
The dancing feet, all that was missing was the finish. It was off the crossbar and then off the arm of Ri Yong-jik. Not over the line. Good decision by the linesman.
And a red card.
Penalty kick and a red card too for Ri Yong-jik, whose tournament is over.
Yeah. He does have temperament issues. Fabulous player. Really caught the eye. But the fuse runs out and he loses it.
Well, in fairness, I'm not sure he could have done too much else other than handle the ball. He had the arms up trying to prevent the goal.
Good call from the assistant.
Yep. And now if Alabid has the chance to seal a wonderful individual performance by putting the icing on the cake from the penalty spot for the Saudis. From 11 metres, now off Alabid. 4-1, is it? No, it is now on the follow-up, and he does have his goal. It trickled along the line after Ri Yong-jik had made the save. And now Alabid was there with the follow-up, and it is 4-1 for the Saudis, and it is game over.
Well, he certainly deserves the goal. The goal came care of this penalty. Well done. The assistant, look at him in the middle of the picture there. His flag straight up. Good call. Good save from the penalty. They're nervous from the spot now. That's 2 they haven't converted. It's the follow-up from Nawaf, who's been the player of the game as far as I'm concerned. And he made sure he got his name on the scoreboard. He deserves the goal.
Well, incredibly, that's 2 missed penalties for the Saudis at this Asian Cup. I'm not sure they'll care too much, nor will he. He does have his goal, and meantime, the North Korean goalkeeper, Ri Yong-jik, who tried so heroically to prevent that fourth goal, has collided with the post and perhaps the player too, in trying to defend his goal. He may not be able to complete the 90 minutes. Here's the handball again. Salem Al-Dosri with some sublime skill. Back off the crossbar, onto the arm of Ri Yongjik, who had to see red, I suppose, really.
Yeah.
I think it was accidental, in fairness.
I think it was, but a referee can't, when you jump up and your arms are taking up that abnormal position.
Of course.
The ref doesn't give that as a handball.
But he's not even looking at the ball.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. But there's nothing wrong with the ref's call. And the assistant picked it up. Congratulations to him. And fabulous to see the dribble that led to the goal by Salem. Beautiful footwork.
What a cracker of a game this has been.
Fabulous.
Sometimes you look at matchups and you think North Korea, Saudi, could be a bit grim, this one.
Yeah.
But this has been terrific.
And it's the Saudis who've scored 4 and come from behind and could have had 5 or 6. But we're to thank North Korea for making this a contest, because they put the frighteners well and truly through Saudi Arabia. And a series of errors by North Korea has played to the Saudis. They've been good enough to take advantage of cheap turnovers of possession and very clinical in the finishing thereafter.
There's going to be a late change by the Saudis. Ibrahim Galeb, who's wearing the number 15 for the Green Falcons, that should have been worn by Nasser Al-Shamrani. Ibrahim Galeb, his late replacement. And we've still got over 10 minutes to go here.
In a group where goal difference once head-to-head has been determined might be a key. China and Uzbekistan to follow this one. The Saudis right back in the mix.
Says Taisir Al-Jassim. Has Al-Dosri outside him, ignores him. Tries to go through the middle himself. Salem Al-Dosri. On the turn was Al-Abid, fancying a second goal perhaps. And then a foul from Saud Kariri. That's going to be Saud Kariri's final involvement. They're going to withdraw the captain and replace him with Ibrahim Galeb. Arban goes to Osama Housawi, and the 34-year-old veteran will take his leave.
Oh, he's a great player, Osama Kariri, and a real linchpin of this team. His commitment, in my view, can never be questioned.
So Ibrahim Galeb, who thought he'd be watching this tournament on the television screens back home, finds himself on the park. Another one from the champion club of Saudi Arabia last year, Al Nassr. Game's up for Jo Tong Sop and North Korea. I think they can take a lot out of this game.
Well, they can take a lot out of the first 30 minutes up to half-time, but you know, they started to get weary noticeably in closing of the first half. Couldn't stem that tide, just had no petrol left in the tank.
Up it goes again towards Tark and John Il-Guan. Here's another change. Here's the man of the match for my money. Going to be replaced now of Al-Abid. He has been tremendous. This penalty aside, Fahad Al-Mualad will be his replacement. Just on Al-Mualad, quite a recovery from him. Plays for Al-Ittihad. Only last August he was in intensive care in a Saudi hospital with pneumonia. So that's some recovery to be playing at the Asian Cup 6 months later. Hassan Moat to the cross, or a little slip from Naif Azazi just at a crucial moment. Curses his luck. Neatly sidestep from Salman Al-Faraj. Squared up by Al-Dosri. Oh, Naif Azazi has pulled up lame. Maybe a bit of cramp, maybe a problem with the calf. He's going to have to soldier on because they've made their 3 changes now, the Saudis. There is Hazazi, little back heel. Oh, good efforts. Beaten away by the goalkeeper. This is Al-Moa lads. They're queuing up the Saudi Arabians. Hassan Moat. Very tired now, the North Koreans. Al-Faraj. Abdullah Al-Dosri to Salam Al-Dosri. It's a completely different team to the one in the opening half an hour of this match. The Saudis looked ragged in total disarray. Form just at the vital moment. Hazazi, wrong option. Hassan Moat is furious, rightly so.
Well, it's at least 2, probably 3 occasions when Hassan Moat has been free. Very easily made as well. He's asking to come off. He's got a tight hamstring. No more, he says. If they're not going to pass me the ball, I've got a tight hamstring.
Well, his coach has just reminded him that they've made the 3 changes. Good stop that from Ri Myong-guk. He did say, the North Korean goalkeeper, after the World Cup of 2010, he felt like he was defending the gateway to the motherland. He had plenty of practice in that tournament, of course. They lost 7-0 to Portugal. They performed admirably, though, in their opening game against Brazil, lost just 2-1. Says his favourite team is Manchester United, Ri Myong-guk. They just obviously know no better in North Korea. Or maybe they just like the colour red. Saudi fans in good voice in the stands, and why not? It's been a while since they had something to cheer. Certainly in this tournament. Their last win at the Asian Cup finals, 2007, 3-2 against Japan in the semi-finals. Malik Moath scored twice, and Yasser Al-Khattani got one. They lost in the final to Iraq, and they haven't won since at this tournament. They are about to here tonight in Melbourne. I remember that game well, Andy. It's almost the last hurrah of that generation, the Saudis. They've been in a rather sticky situation at national level ever since.
Yeah, in all sorts of trouble. And their last offering in the Asian Cup 2011 was that dismemberment by Japan.
They finished dead last out of all the 16 nations.
It was just a woeful day for them.
And of course, one swallow doesn't make a summer, but have you seen at least some signs that they could make an impression at this tournament, or not?
Yet, no, not yet. Because when they've turned it on, they've just shown what Saudi football can be. They've got wonderful individuals. It's finding the on switch for them. And there were no signs, really, that they could change the game of their own volition. North Korea had bossed them around the place. And they scored on a counter-attack, and they did it very well, it's true. But a country of their might and significance needs to be able to get hold of situations in games like this and turn it themselves, not wait for an error. Not if you're going to be considered a force in the competition. But once they get a sniff of it, very, very difficult. Look at them now. They dance through opposing defenders like they're witches' hats. And particularly in this case where those opposing players are so demonstrably fatigued, have been for a while, and they've taken them apart piece by piece.
It was 10 against 10 there just for a moment, with Naif Azazi off having some treatment. He's back on now. Heat in the game has long since dissipated. North Korea going to make their final change shortly. It's the final minutes of the regulation 90. Scoreline will look convincing. It looked anything but for half an hour. Now Park Kwang-ryong, can he get to this loose ball? He can. Chance for North Korea. Good save by Walid Abdullah as he tried to reduce the deficit. Best chance of the second half for the North Koreans.
And he's left in his wake a path of green devastation. There are Saudi players all over the field. Out of my way, one. Bang if you don't mind, number two. And the keeper saves, Walid Abdullah.
There's the remnants left splattered across the turf.
I think in the parlance, that's called roadkill.
The goal scorer for North Korea is going to be replaced. Yang Yong-gi for the final few moments by Cho Won. He also came off the bench against Uzbekistan. He's just a man mountain, isn't he? Park Kwang-ryong. 3 additional minutes to be played. I'll tell you what, Osama Hausawi is not small by any measure either. But he was just sandblasted out of the way. Could they get it back to 4-2? The answer is no. Cho Won's first involvement is to head the ball over the top. The North Korean contingent. I don't think they're natives of North Korea, but they've certainly attracted a fair few neutrals to their cause. Is that a Melbourne victory tune I hear in the background in support of Cholima? I think it might be. Saudis have given themselves a chance of getting through to the knockout phase. They might have another goal here, but Fahad Al-Muwalad will only get a corner.
Well, stunning sprint out of midfield to get in behind the North Korea defence. Composure let him down. He had plenty of support as well. And come again to Saudi Arabia. Can they make it 5?
Al-Dosari bouncing again around the defenders. Laid off by Abdullah Al-Dosari. But too cute from Salam Al-Dosari. Oh dear. Goodness me. He's just bulldozed him out of the way. That could be a red card, you know, for Cho Won. Even calling that agricultural is probably understating it. He's so fortunate, I think, the scoreline is 4-1.
Yeah. Well,
The Saudis rightly angered.
yeah, well, he's just gone straight through him like a dose of salt.
Boom.
Bang. That's bell ringer of the month. And I'm not laughing at the challenge, which is, shall we say, full-blooded. But in the aftermath, as players gathered and scuffled, Salem, the number 18, went on his own virtuoso freestyle football show. He didn't care at all.
He's knocked him clean off his feet. Could anything else happen in this game?
Well, that might get shown on the Pyongyang nightly news. That's how to defend the motherland.
Well, there we go. What a game we've had here. Saudi Arabia have given themselves a good chance. There's confirmation of the yellow for Cho-won. It's all on their game against Uzbekistan on the 18th of January. Back here in Melbourne for the Green Falcons. Well, they had an almighty scare in the early stages. North Korea taking the lead through Ryang Yonggi, their first goal at the Asian Cup finals in 23 years. But Cosmin Olaroyo's team steadied their nerves. And